Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. That's the song that I was trying to sing yesterday when I start my live streams. I can't actually sing very well, but it was kind of the testing 1 2, testing 1 2 1 2, testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. Hi everybody. I think everything is working. Yes. You know, I still am amazed that I am able to do this. Like when I was a kid, I never would have imagined that I could have a camera and a computer and be broadcasting my voice and my video image to the whole world. So there we are. Very, very cool. Can you guys in the chat let me know if everything is working right? And then I will explain how this all works. If you're new here, welcome. This is a Q&A English lesson. That means that you can ask questions and I will answer them. I will put the questions up over here. If you use the link in the description or if you use the link in the chat, you can submit a question and then I will put it up here. And then also, because I used to do these outside and I will again when the weather gets nice, we do have a view of my front yard. So this is the same thing that I see when I look out the window. If you look right above my head, you can see the river is a little bit icy and also flooded. And you can see the grass is quite brown, but I feel like it might start greening up this week. We have some nicer weather coming in. But let me get back to the purpose of this. This is an English lesson. It means that you can submit a question. Please don't put your question directly in the chat. Please use the form that you can find in the link in the description and in the chat to submit your question. And if I look, there's already 7 questions in the queue. So that's pretty good. And then I will just kind of go through those questions. You can ask questions about English pronunciation, the meaning of words, anything that you want. Maybe you've learned a new phrase and you're not sure how to use it properly in an English conversation. Ask that question and I would be happy to answer it. We'll be here for about an hour, maybe a little bit longer. We'll see. I do realize I forgot to do one thing, so bear with me while I just take a minute. I usually share the link on my social media platforms to invite people to come. So I'm just going to quickly do that. Live lesson today, exclamation mark. And then I will post that and maybe a few more people will join us from around the world. But what should we learn about? Well, I guess that's what you guys are going to decide. In the chat, I see Freddie Wolf is there saying it's still icy. Today we have 17 degrees Celsius. And Freddie, here it is. It's warming up. It's 14 degrees Celsius right now. And it's going up to 17 degrees Celsius today. And then for the rest of this week, it is above 0 Celsius during the day, every day. So hello, no, that says even the branches outside are moving, which means the camera is working as it should. Yes, and it kind of looks like there are tiny leaves on the trees. I should go look and see. Anyways, hello to Freddie Wolf. Hello to Know That. Nigar, Marmaduva, Suzanne, Weekus, Brenorais. It's hard to say some of the names. Carlos, DS, Brent's here from American English with Brent. Aerosmith, Judith is here as well. Hafiez, Vitor. As I scroll back, good to see all of you guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out and thanks for being here. I'm going to formally start the lesson now. So welcome to this English Q&A lesson. I'm going to put the first question on the screen in just a moment. Let me find the question and put it up over here. Here we go from Know That. Hello, Bob. Could you explain the meaning of the expression to churn something out and give some examples of how it's commonly used? A heartfelt thank you. When you churn something out, it means you produce it rapidly or you make it rapidly. On a Wednesday night before market, Jen will churn out 50 bouquets very quickly. A long time ago, when they invented the assembly line to build cars, it allowed them to churn cars out at a high rate of speed. So my meaning is that it means to produce something quickly and rapidly. Let me have a look on the internet, meaning of to churn something out. It says to produce something routinely or mechanically and in large quantities. So for me, it doesn't have to be mechanically. Like a person, like a student can churn out a lot of work if they sit down and work really hard, but it simply means to do something very, very rapidly. In the chat, episode says, "Hi, Bob. Thanks for your lessons." No problem. Hello to Cricket and Nita and everyone else who has joined. If you are new here, don't forget to click that red subscribe button and give a thumbs up. Apparently, if you give a thumbs up earlier in the live stream, it helps promote the live stream to other English learners. After all this time, I'm still not an expert on how YouTube works, but apparently that's a good thing. So if you could give me a thumbs up, that would be great. Jim says, "Is the snow heavy in Canada this winter?" So right now, whoa, that's the wrong button. Right now, you can see there are just some tiny piles of snow. If you watched the video, the English lesson that I did a month and a half ago, I did a lesson on clearing the driveway with my tractor. I made those piles way back then. But other than that, it's almost melted. But the question was, is the snow heavy in Canada this winter? So this past month, actually since the beginning of January, we have had a lot of snow. It was a good, healthy winter with lots of snow and lots of cold weather, lots of cold weather. So I did appreciate that. I do like a good cold winter. Hafiez in the chat says thumb is up. Thank you for that, Hafiez. Let's see here from Unsel. "Good morning, Mr. Bob. How have things been with you lately? And what's something exciting coming up for you? Thanks. You're awesome." So at the beginning of February, semester 1 ended at the end of January and semester 2 started. I am a teacher at a high school in Ontario, Canada, and I teach part-time. So now I am teaching in the afternoon. I'm teaching the last 2 classes of the day. And that is, in my opinion, a much better schedule than the one I had before. And I have 2 really nice classes to teach. I'm teaching a French class and I'm teaching a computer class. So how have things been? Really good. I've had a really enjoyable first month of second semester. And something exciting that's coming up is spring break, or in Canada, we sometimes call it March break. So I have 1 more week of work and then I do get a week off. So I'm looking forward to that. So Timigsken says, "What is the chronological order to learn English?" So a lot of times people will ask me, "Bob, what order should I watch your videos in?" And for me, there is no real order. It's kind of lessons based on things that have happened to me that week. But if you are looking to build a plan to learn English, I would say whatever you do from the very beginning, make sure you're doing some reading, writing, listening, and speaking. But I would certainly say before that, learn lots of vocabulary. But is there a chronological order? Not really. You should just always be reading things and listening to things and doing things that are just a little bit hard and not too easy. So learning happens when you challenge yourself and you do something that's a little bit harder. So if you read a story and you have to look up words, 5 words per page, that's probably pretty good. But if you need to look up 100 words per page, that's too difficult. So you want to find what we would call the sweet spot, so that when you listen to me, you can understand 70 or 80% of what I say. That would be good. If you listen to me and you don't understand anything, then you might want to slow the video down or turn the subtitles on when you watch it on repeat. Let's see. Freddie Wolf in the chat says, "Our winter hasn't been strong enough. Mosquitoes are already coming out." Oh, that does not sound enjoyable. That's too soon. I would agree. And then that says, "The curtain behind the couch is closed again today, and your reading lamp is on. Back to the roots," I'd say. So yesterday, I had this curtain open and that light off. I feel like I don't know. Like I moved my big light, the one that's up here that you can't see. And I feel like the lighting isn't what it was before that. So I was trying to get the lighting a bit different, but I don't know how successful I was with that. Okay. From Tina. Let's get this up here. Hello, Bob. What is the difference between older and elder if we talk about family members? So first of all, we don't use the word elder very often. It simply means the same, like my elder brother, my older brother. It sounds though like very old-fashioned English when I use that word. We do use it in a situation where we say you should respect your elders, which means you should respect people who are older than you. But generally, I would say 9 times out of 10 or more, we use the word older. The farm was given the farm was given to the older brother, or the older brother will become king. An elder is something that you might read in a fantasy novel or in historical fiction. In the chat, Brent says to Freddie, come on, there should be at least 1 month grace period between snow and mosquitoes. I would agree. Yes, there should be a little bit of time between the two. So I'm just going to do a search here. So someone who is of greater age, a person of greater age. It doesn't say here though how used it is, but if we go to, I'm just going to do a quick search here, and then I'm going to add another. I'm just doing this because I'm curious. So if you do a search on Google Trends for elder versus older, elder is used like 80% less than the word older. That's not a totally accurate way to figure that out, but at least gives you a sense. Okay. From Judith. Hi, Bob. How many times have you gone tobogganing with your kids this winter? 0. 0 times. I do not want to accidentally injure myself this winter. I think I will wait an entire winter or an entire year. Did you feel yourself well? Thank you. So I have avoided all physical activity that's not structured. So I will go to the gym and I will very carefully lift weights. I will do life normally, like I will open car doors, but I am not ready to play a sport or go tobogganing or sledding or anything like that. I think that would be unwise at this point in time. I think it's better to keep doing the weights and keep letting things heal properly. Okay, from Judith. Hi, Bob. I hear your schedule has changed in your school year for the better. What could have been the reason for it? Thank you. When you are a part-time teacher, you are offered classes to teach that work best for the school and don't necessarily work best for you. So as a part-time employee, I need to be flexible. If I was a full-time employee, I would simply go to work at 8 in the morning and I would go home at 5 o'clock. But because I'm part-time, and then if I'm full-time, they can just give me classes anywhere in the day. But because I'm part-time, they might say, hey, you can work part-time next year, but you need to teach this class period 2 and this class period 3, or this class period 3, this class period 4. And I simply just say yes, because I appreciate having a good paying part-time job. So the reason is simply that's how the school schedule ended up working. From Seth, would you like to share with us some tips to pronounce words clearly? Thanks, Bob. So there are a few things you can do. Number 1, you can overpronounce the word to start to develop the muscles and the motion you need to say it. So let me reread your question with overpronunciation. Would you like to share us some tips? You would never talk like that in real life, but when you overpronounce, you're forcing your tongue and your mouth to more strongly make the sounds. Number 2, I would record yourself reading something that you also have the audio for to compare it. So if you can listen to me talk and then record yourself saying what I'm saying, and then listen to yourself, and then listen to me and try to compare. And then third thing, get a speaking partner or a tutor who will help correct the words that you are mispronouncing. Hafiez in the chat, overpronounce, record, listen back. Number 3, get a speaking partner. There's nothing quite like having someone say, no, you say it this way. And then, as you know, I always promote Preply. There is a link in the description below to Preply. If you scroll down far enough, you can go there and look for an English speaking partner. From Unso, in Mrs. Jen's 100th video, it looked like there used to be a different house where your current home is. Do you remember it, and could you tell us a little about it? When I was a young child, there was a house exactly where this house is. And in the year 1980, sorry, we don't usually say it that way. That sounded like I was telling some old... In 1980, my parents lifted our old house up, and they actually rolled it back like 50 meters. And then we lived in it while my dad and my uncle built a new house in the same spot. So let me explain again. There was an old white house, and my dad and mom hired a company to come, and they jacked the house up, and they put it on big logs, and they rolled the house backwards. And then I think this would be illegal nowadays. We lived in the house for a year, like jacked up, and then my dad and uncle built a new house in the same spot in like 1980, 1981. So yes, I do remember the old house. It was huge, and it was very, very cold. It was not very well insulated. From Jacob, what is onomatopoeia in grammar? I think you might have spelled that wrong. That is when the word sounds like how it is spelt. So let me get an example. I don't even know how to spell it. Onomatopoeia. Thank you for Google autocorrect. The formation of a word from a sound associated with what it is named. So sizzle. When you have bacon in a frying pan, it will sizzle. The word sizzle sounds like the sound that is being made. So basically, let me get some other examples here. Bang, thump, smash, bam. They're all meant to mimic what is happening. Let me get a sip of water here. Let me get you guys to have a look at the great outdoors. The nice, beautiful blue sky is real. That is exactly what it looks like on my property. And I am looking forward to, okay, I love winter, but I am looking forward to being able to make videos for you outside in a bit warmer weather. It has been a little bit too cold lately. Judith has a question here. Hi, Bob. Are marshals do marshals exist in Canada as well as in the US? Like police judges who defend judges or look for fugitives? Thank you. I don't know. I don't think we do. We have police officers. We do have something called a sheriff, but it's different than in the United States. That's someone who more, it's not like a guy with a badge and a hat and he pulls you over in Canada. Let me see. Do we have marshals in Canada? I don't think we do. And I don't even really know what a marshal is. Yeah, we have a store called Marshals. I knew that. Law enforcement. Let me add law enforcement. I should make it so you guys can see. Yeah, it sounds like maybe in Western Canada there are some marshals, but I am not familiar with there being marshals in Ontario, Canada. From Kwong. Hi, I think I need some advice because I don't know how to improve my vocabulary. So all I can mention to you, hopefully Walter's just hanging out there. You never know what a dog's going to do when they're on camera. How to improve your vocabulary. For me, I can only answer with what worked for me. When I was learning French, reading for me was the best way to learn new vocabulary, as well as watching the news and reading the news. Those were two great sources of new words for me. And then when you say improve, I think you mean that also how are you going to remember the word after you learn it? So for me, it was always about using the words many times in the days after learning it. So if I learned the word for snow, I would write the word snow, neige, la neige. I would write it in my little personal dictionary, and then I would try to use it in a sentence in a conversation. I would try to use it in an email. I would just try to make sure I would use the word so I would remember it. So there you go. From Sergey. Do you have a cafeteria in the school? Yes, we do. What is an average price for a lunch? So there are individual items in our cafeteria, and they're all about $4 or $5 Canadian. So a slice of pizza, I think, is $5. I think a hot dog, and it's a pretty big hot dog, is $5. I think if you get a little chicken, like a chicken salad bowl, it's $5. We have what are called wraps. So you can get a chicken Caesar wrap, which is like a tortilla, but it's cold with chicken and salad inside of it. That's $5 as well. So yes, we do have a cafeteria. Often students will buy something to eat and then a snack. There are cookies as well for $2. So if you spend between $4 and $7, you would have a good lunch. And that is Canadian currency. So if that was US, it would be like $3 to $4 American. Let's see. Unsol, the world is changing in interesting ways. Do you ever feel like we're in the final season of a long story where people are slowly waking up to new perspectives? Thanks. No. So I am a child of the 70s and 80s and early 90s. So I feel like when I was growing up, the world, as I understood it from the news and from school, the world was a very hard place, like a very serious place. And then I think things started to change and the world became a lot more open. And now I feel like maybe we've just gone back a bit. So it doesn't seem like we're in the final season of a long story to me. It just feels to me like there's a graph in the world between world peace and world conflict, and it's always going up and down. So that's how I would describe it. Growing up as a teenager in the late 80s and early 90s, it was an interesting time as well for many of you. I won't give specifics, but it was definitely an interesting time in the world. From Tan Ton. What is the difference between other and another? It's kind of confusing. So I usually give an example like this. My one van is red. My other van is blue. Okay. The one cookie has chocolate chips in it. The other cookie has no chocolate chips. Okay. So I used other to distinguish. I could then say this. I have two vans and I want to buy another van. Basically, it means that I want one more. I ate two cookies and I'm going to eat another cookie. So that is just a simple explanation for you, Tan Ton. That's a fun name to say. But at least you have some example sentences of me using both words properly. Okay. From Iman. Greetings from Azerbaijan, Bob. I am really struggling with integrating new words or idioms to my daily speech. Could you give us some tips, please? Thanks again. So yes, first of all, don't worry about using idioms right away. Just make sure you understand idioms if you hear them or if you read them. So do not stress about becoming good at using English idioms. You can use other words to communicate the same thing. Like instead of saying hold your horses, you can say wait. But you do need to understand them. So number one, focus on understanding idioms. Number two, focus on when you learn new words. So I'm talking about new words now. Like I've said before, focus on using those new words as often as possible. Kind of look at it like this. Part of the learning a new word is seeing it, writing it down, and maybe making some flashcards and trying to memorize the meaning. The other part of learning a new word is to use it as many times as possible in the 5 to 7 days after you learn it. You can even do something simple like in the chat of my live stream, just say, hey, everybody, I learned these 5 words this week. I learned snow, which is hard rain. That's my silly definition. So yeah, just use them as much as you can. This is an interesting way to ask a question, Judith. Hi, Bob. And what could have been the reason your parents built a house on the exact spot where your former house was? Would not it have... Oh, you're trying to fit it. I see it. Would not it have been possible on another spot on the farm? So I don't know the exact reason, other than the farmhouse is connected to a septic tank and septic bed where our wastewater goes when you flush the toilet or when water goes down the drain. And then we also had a cistern for drinking water. So I don't know if they wanted it close to those two things. I also think that in Canada, we have a lot of rules and regulations when you build things, and they may have been told by the town when they got their building permit, which is a piece of paper that says you're allowed to build a new house or a new structure. They might have been told you have to build it in the same spot. That's my guess, is that they said, look, there was a house on this spot. If you build a new house, it must be in the same spot. In North America, depending on where you live, depending on what state or city or province or town you live in the United States or Canada, there will be different rules about what you are allowed to build and how you build it. I know in some countries there are fewer laws. I know in some US states things are a lot more flexible. But certainly in my part of Canada, I'm not allowed to just build a second house on my property. I would need to apply for a building permit. It would need to be approved by the town, even though I don't live in a town. And then I would be allowed to build it. So hopefully that answers your question. From Kuso, let me get a sip of water here. Why don't you guys enjoy? Not sure where Walter went, but I think I heard Jen go outside. No, that says Walter looks a little lost, but he's probably just enjoying the sun on his fur. Yes. Datnin says, with $5, I can buy food for the whole day in my country. Yes. Oscar has reached dog heaven. Yeah, very sad. Brent, I caught myself asking, where's Oscar? Yeah, I do too. Like especially as the weather's getting warmer, when I come home from work, there's just one dog, and it's very sad. Know that. Am I seeing this correctly? And the river is still partially frozen. Yes. It kind of refroze a bit. Probably not enough to be safe to walk on, but at least that's how it looked on the camera. So what happens with the river is the ice will break up into larger chunks, and those chunks of ice will flow with the river. And then at night, they'll get frozen in place again because it goes below zero at night. And then the next day, eventually it will thaw a bit and they'll start moving again. So, okay, let's do members only chat. Let me get that turned on. I'm also going to give away some memberships in just a moment. So if you aren't sure what's happening, members only chat is when people who are members get to ask questions directly in the chat during this live stream. And if you don't know what members get, they get a lot of stuff. They get a lesson plan on Monday that challenges them to do certain things during the week to improve their English. They get a whole extra video on Wednesdays called Wednesdays with Bob, which are, by the way, very enjoyable to make. So it's been one of my favorite things to do because I can just relax a little bit because it's not a formal lesson. And you get your name in green during a live stream, and you get a little crown by your name in a live stream. That's what you get as well. So let me do the giveaway. Let me get to the right button here, and let's do, no, I don't want that. Oh, I think I'm on the wrong screen. I have to be on this screen. I can't do it. Oh, there it is. Member gifting. Let's do 5 today. Let's do 5 members today. So in a moment, as long as my Visa card works, there will be 5 people receiving free memberships. You will see it in the chat. You'll probably see it in the chat before I start talking about it. So Alba, XF Gusta ASMS Vision and Rezas. If you go to the posts section of this YouTube channel, you will see all of the members only posts right now. So that's awesome. Okay, let me see here. We have a question from Know That. I'll do that, and then I'll also continue answering questions from the forum. Know That says, hey, Bob, what are your plans for today and tomorrow? Do you have anything special on your to-do list? Thanks a lot. So my plan for today, 4 things. Do this live stream. Number 2, Jen bought a jacket from a store last week, and it's not exactly this Jen, by the way, the Jen that's behind the tree. She bought a jacket and she doesn't like it, and I don't really like it either. It doesn't really have enough pockets, and it's not designed well. So job number 2, I'm going to return the jacket. Job number 3, one of my kids went away for the night and I have to pick that child up. Job number 4, I just have to edit yesterday's lesson and upload that to all of the platforms where I share that. So that's the plan for tomorrow. That is what I will be doing. Manhado says, hi, I am a new member. Well, thank you. As a new member, please enjoy the 250 Wednesdays with Bob videos that you can now watch if you want. I'm not sure what the first ones look like. I was at one point uploading them to a second channel, and I stopped that for a different reason. But yes, go ahead, enjoy the backlog of lessons that you will see there. Iburasitan says, hey guys, always a nice greeting. By the way, in informal English, the word guys is often used to refer to both guys and girls. Freddie Wolf says, Bob, when you were in elementary school, did you ever get punished like having to copy I don't talk in class 100 times or get detention for forgetting to do your homework, for example? Yes. There were a number of different kinds of repetitive writing punishments that I was aware of, and some of them I did have to do. One of them was a math punishment where you were given a number. So you might be given the number 37. And then you would have to do 37 times 37 and then write the answer. And then you would need to subtract 37 from it over and over again until you got back down to 0. That was one of the punishments I remember doing. I was talking when I wasn't supposed to be talking. Teachers were very strict back then. But yes, we also would have to, I will not talk during class. I will not talk during class. We had some teachers who would ask people to write lines. Let me see. Let me get the outdoors up here. I am looking forward to going outside and then not being cold and staying outside for a while. Okay, next question is from Know That. While I'm at it, how was your Friday, Bob? I hope you had a great and stress-free day. It was a nice day yesterday. Yes, very much so. I did have a busy day at work. I had a couple meetings, and then I did have to teach both my classes. But both the meetings I went to, I'm going to be vague here, but were very good and very productive. If you remember yesterday, I talked about how I don't like working with, incompetent people. And I don't like working with unpleasant people. There was another one here. I don't like working with negative people. I don't mind long-winded people. I thought there was another one, but I can't find it. But anyways, I currently work with a whole team of people. My boss, my other supervisors, my fellow. I just have a really good place to work right now. Super nice people, hardworking, competent, enjoyable to be with. So it makes the whole day better. And then from Know That, speaking of sports, Bob, how are things with archery at the moment? Well, I'm at the point where my bow, let me grab it for a sec. I'll be there in a sec. Everything's getting tangled. So I'm at the point where I haven't started archery again, but these limbs are 28-pound draw weight limbs. So I was shopping. I didn't buy any, but I was trying to figure out for this riser, I can disconnect this limb and I can buy ones that are easier for me to pull. So yes, this is a 72 inch, we call it a bear bow. So I was looking at, okay, I can't pull 28 pounds, but maybe I can buy 10-pound limbs, I think. I'm still trying to figure out how low can I go so I can get started doing archery again. So that's where I'm at with archery. I'm at the point where I'm researching and doing a little bit of shopping. Good question. As the weather gets nicer, I'm going to become more and more eager to maybe get started. From Hafiez. Did you have students in your elementary days become prefects and class monitors? I think those are British words and terms. No, the closest thing I can think of is if you rode the bus, there was a student who would be an older student who was asked to be a bus patrol. And they would wear like a safety vest, kind of. I think it was like more like a sash. I'm just laughing at Hafiez. And then on the bus, they would make sure that other kids would sit down and all that kind of stuff. But in school itself, we didn't. In high school, we have something called Students' Council or student government. And they aren't really prefects either. They just help plan fun activities at the school. Let's see here. Hafiez, I heard Bob's voice in distress. It's getting tangled. Yeah, it was getting tangled in I have like a duster and it was caught in the bowstring. So anyways, that's what you get when you try to do something without planning it. Let's see here. Oh, I don't know if I answered this question. Let me put it up on the screen. From Kuso, excuse me, Teacher Bob, some of the vocabs I just know about 1 to 2 collocations. Should I learn more new vocabs or learn deeply? You should do both. So whenever people ask, should I do more of this one thing? I always want them to take a step back and make sure they're doing a good amount of everything. So yes, of the 6 things you do every week, you should be learning new vocab. You should be learning more deeply. You should be reading, writing, listening, speaking, learning some grammar. You should make sure that you are doing all of the things. Know that in the chat says, I hope you remember after the live stream ends that the bow is lying on the ground, that you don't actually drive over it with your chair or trip over it. Well, it's far enough out of the way. I won't drive over it, but we'll have to wait and see if I trip on it. From Freddie Wolf, currently the Paralympics have started. Does Canada have a big team? I actually don't know. And what's the ranking goal asked from the Canadian staff? I'm not aware. I should look into that a bit, but I have not had the time to follow it. From E. Burak, when you compare the economy of Canada compared to prior to COVID-19 pandemic days, do you think it is better or worse? How is the quality of life there? So this is one of those questions where people would say it depends who you ask. So it depends depending on where you live in Canada. And it depends if you have a job or if you're looking for a job. So for me personally, things are still going well. I have a nice job. I am paid a very nice, fair salary for the work I do. I earn money from YouTube. I earn money from Spotify and Bilibili. I have not experienced much of a change. What I will say, though, is I think AI has affected how much people watch YouTube videos to learn English. When I look at all of the English teachers on YouTube, a lot of us have grown to a certain point and it kind of just stays the same. And I think it would be really challenging to start a new channel. So I would say it's not the economy for me. It might be AI. I would say if you are looking for a job in Canada, it's probably hard to find one right now. So yeah. So again, I know that's it depends kind of answer. Brent says, my son is a prefect at his high school in the dorms. Very cool. Yes. We would also, I think we would call that and Brent probably uses these terms too. It depends on the school. We would say resident assistant or resident director, or dorm monitor. No, we don't really use that one, but very cool. By the way, the word prefect is very hard to say because it looks like the word perfect when I look at it quickly. So know that, says Bob. Since Jen started taking us back down to your basement in her videos to show us how her seedlings are doing in the trays, I was wondering if you also have an attic. We do not have an attic. So in Canada, attics started to disappear from new houses in the late 70s and early 80s because we started to fill that space with a lot of insulation. So way back when we had our old White House, it had an attic, but I also said the house was very, very cold. My house has, you might call it an attic, but you can't go up there because there's a meter of insulation in my attic. So I guess I kind of said we don't have attics. We do, but you can't go in it because it's filled with insulation. Okay, let me turn off members only chat and let me say thank you to everyone who is a member. You are all awesome people. Thank you. And we'll go back to subscriber only mode. I will give you guys a look at the outdoors while I have a sip of water, and I'll scroll back through the chat to see if I missed any questions. I do want to say thank you, though, to all of you who watched the Let's Learn English at the Airport video. That video is getting a lot of views. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I think I can if I ask Nightbot with the prompt video. And then I think I can do this. Yeah, thank you. It's always nice when a video performs well. I make the videos because I like teaching English, but I will not lie. I'm also very happy when a video gets lots of views. I've explained this before that YouTube is a win-win. I enjoy making videos. I enjoy thinking of ideas. I enjoy getting some views and making a little bit of money, and you get to learn English. So it's a win-win. Freddie Wolf says, do mice like insulation? They do, but our houses are built very well now to prevent mice and rats from getting into that space. No, that says, thanks for answering my questions. No problem. That video was and still is awesome, Bob. Loved it. Yeah, it was fun to make. We'll see. This week's video will be a little more boring, but the week after should be pretty fun as well. Okay. Let me just get the question back up here. From Shahid. Hi, sir. How are you doing? What does irony mean, and how is it different from sarcasm? Love and respect from Afghanistan. So it's hard to explain a little bit. Irony is when the opposite happens from what you're expecting, although that's not always considered true irony. Whereas sarcasm is very dry, we would say cutting humor or almost insulting humor. Like if someone was really tall and they were walking through a really low doorway, if you were like, don't bonk your head, that might be considered sarcasm in a way. Whereas if the person bonked their head, it might be, no, if the doorway was tall enough, but the person jumped and hit their head, that might be irony. Let's get some formal definitions of the two. Irony versus sarcasm. Irony and sarcasm are often used interchangeably, but they differ in purpose, tone, and scope. Irony is broader, more subtle concept relating to the contrast between what you expect to happen and the reality. Okay. So if you have a tall person going through a door and there's lots of room and they hit their head, that might be irony. Sarcasm is a specific kind of verbal irony used to insult, ridicule, or mock someone. So there you go. I think my definition was fairly close to that. But sometimes it's hard to give the right answer on the fly. Oh, here's Jacob asked. Hi, Bob. What is the difference between formative article and informative article? So first of all, I don't know. If you're talking about definite and indefinite articles, I can answer that. But if you are, let's look this up for a sec. Let me actually copy and paste this because it might just be from a different kind of textbook. No, I can't find. I think it just means definite and indefinite. That would be my guess, right? Yeah, because like definite articles would be like, it was the car. Then it's like, it's that car. If I say it was a car, it could be any car. Like a car hit a tree, or the car he was driving hit a tree. So one is specific and one is a little bit more general. Sorry, not a great answer, but it is 45 minutes into the lesson. And sometimes I start to not answer as quickly or thoroughly as possible. From Sergey, I think a pronunciation is strongly important, and I'm not talking about accent. The problem is what is accent and what is mispronunciation. For example, short I and long I. So, yeah, so there's a difference between having an accent and mispronouncing things a lot. So I would say when I speak French, I have an accent, but I also mispronounce some words, and that's part of the accent I have. So I really think having an accent and mispronunciation are just different ends of a spectrum. So if you have an accent, it means you very slightly say some of the words wrong, but they're right enough that the person can understand you. Does that make sense? Like when I speak French, 90% of how I say the word is correct, but there's a little bit that still sounds like I'm an English speaker. Whereas if I mispronounce a word, the person might not even know what word it is. Okay. And then the other thing with mispronunciation is if you just mispronounce it and then it sounds like a different word. So that's what I would say. An accent is a very slight mispronunciation of most words, but it is still very easy to understand for the person listening. Whereas mispronunciation is just saying it so wrong. You're like, what? What did you say? What? I don't understand. Okay, from Vahid. Hi, Bob. What is your aim expecting teaching English and keep family in life? Thanks. So one of the things about doing YouTube is that it is very time consuming. And some people who do YouTube, I'm getting videotaped. Also, the camera just got put. You can come back if you want. You can do it again if you want. I know Jen's a YouTuber too. Okay. What I've done to balance things is that I work part-time and then I do YouTube part-time. So I work 2/3 of the day at work and I work 1/3 of the day on YouTube. So that's how I balance it. When I was working full-time and also doing YouTube, I found it very challenging to balance. I was working way too much. Okay, let's see here. No, from the chat, Freddie Wolf says, with tall people, you can ask if the weather is well up there. Yes, you can. And then know that, Bob, when you have your bow standing there in the corner in front of you, where do you usually keep your arrows? Plus, do you also have a quiver? So all my arrows are actually in my archery range. So in the top of the barn, I have a little spot where I can do archery, and then they're all stuck into bales of straw right now. Hafiez says, a Jen cameo off camera. Yes, she's right over there. And then I briefly thought Jen was going to sit down next to you. Maybe someday, but I don't think that's going to happen today. Okay, from Iman. Thanks for advice. Thanks for the advice. That's how you would say that. And could you recommend any books for C1 level? I always say this. If you are at a B2 level of reading or a C1 level of reading, you should be reading the same books that English speaking people are reading. Okay, so you should go to the New York Times bestseller list and you should see what nonfiction books are in the top 10 and what fiction books are in the top 10. And that's what you should be reading. Pick one of those 20 books and read it. So you should be reading what I'm reading. So right now I am not reading anything though. I read Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's kind of a strange book, but it was somewhat enjoyable. But yes, go to the New York Times bestseller list and pick a book. That would be a good way to do it. Okay. Let's see here. Rock, I have been thinking about changing my career to something more up to date. I previously worked as a cashier. If you were in shoes, what would you learn? Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know a lot about the world of selling shoes and clothing and working as a cashier. I do know that if you want to move up, you can become a manager in one of those locations. But that's all I would be able to suggest is I would say, ask at work, I would like to become a manager. What training do I need or what can I do to become a manager at your store? Okay, here. From Judith, the views of your airport video are increasing because it is a pretty good video. Thank you. And you were very professional at all levels, appearance, English teaching method, and so on. Well, thank you. I think it probably helps as well that there's lots of people walking around in the background. So I appreciate the kind words, but I also think that quite often videos do well when I'm in a public place. Okay, I'll be honest. I try to do a good job, but I also think people are very curious and want to see what's happening there. So, but thanks, Judith, for the kind words. I do appreciate that very much. Let's see here. From Mohammed, why I feel that I'm not good in English, although when I'm speaking to people, they always tell me you are good. Well, speaking a language that you have learned instead of speaking your native language is always what we would say nerve-wracking. And it does often create self-doubt where you feel like you're not good at it. But I would say this, if you are having conversations and people are obviously understanding what you're saying, you're doing a good job. A good measure of if you're doing a good job is if you can make someone laugh when you're speaking English to them. So use that as maybe your guide. Like say something in a way when you're having your next English conversation so that you can make someone smile or laugh, because then you know you really understand the language. It's just a good way to measure that. Okay, let me see here. I'm going to have a sip of water. I have no more questions in the queue, so I'm just going to wait and I'll read some from the chat in a bit. If we look at S.H. Mary in the chat, hello teacher, I'm living in Calgary. By the way, that's in Canada. It's in the province of Alberta. I always follow your videos and lessons. I am Iranian. When I landed in Canada, I never knew any English words. I am learning English with you. Well, I am very happy to help you. That's very, very, very cool. I hope you're enjoying life in the cold, cold city of Calgary. Probably not as cold as Edmonton, but certainly chilly nonetheless. From Minmai Athe, your videos are quite a big help for me to share some nice English to my students. I'm happy to be able to do that. I have always tried very hard to make sure my videos can be used in classrooms and that you don't need to worry. One of the reasons I don't teach swear words, one of the reasons I don't talk about politics or religion or sex or anything like that is because you can learn all of those things somewhere else. I always have wanted my channel to be safe to use in schools with no worry about that. So that's great. From Feng Ya, I like you. You are a great English teacher. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of the kind words. Just scrolling back a little bit. Assam says, is there a river on the left side of your property? Yes, right above my head, there is a river. Right now it is flooded. And if you watch some of my videos, quite often you will see the river in the background. Probably at least once a month, you will see the river in the background of my video. No, that says, one moment Jen is standing next to Bob. The next she is out with Walter. Yes, she is trying to finish up her YouTube video for today. So if you don't know, Jen also, I'm going to give some shout outs here. Let me just find Jen's channel, My Flower Farm. I'll put it in the chat. Jen's YouTube channel is called My Flower Farm. And it looks like this. Let me put it right here. Jen's YouTube channel is right there. And then the next person I want to talk about, this came up in yesterday's live stream. Someone was asking about whether it's good to use the news to learn English. And I suggested Brent's YouTube channel. So Brent has been doing YouTube for a very long time as well, teaching English. And one of the things he has been focusing on lately is he does little news updates where he also teaches English during that lesson. So if you see the link where it says Jen's YouTube channel, if you like flowers and gardening and the great outdoors, that might be a nice channel to watch. You won't learn a lot of English, but if you like learning English from the news, I highly recommend Brent's channel. Link is in the chat right there. Okay, let me check here. So here is me being I'm going to be very political when I answer this question. When someone's political, they don't say one thing or the other. Vahid says, if I'm not mistaken, you speak like Donald Trump. How do you think he is a good politician? Do you have any sympathy for him? So I will just say this. I love living in a democracy where we can vote and decide who the leader is going to be. And I do like having the United States as a neighbor, and they have the same form of government, which I think is a good form of government. That's all I'll say. Do I speak like Donald Trump? I don't know. I speak as clearly as I possibly can. So there you go. From the chat, Min Mayathe says, how do you get over the downtime when you start your videos for the first time? As I have some difficulties when I take the videos or I don't know how to choose the topics. I don't know because I had the same problems for the first 3 or 4 years, but I've almost done this for 10 years now. So some things are they're a little easier for me now because I have some experience. In particular, shooting in public. It's still difficult, but it's not as difficult as it used to be. So I would just say the more you do, the better you get at it. From Humber. Hi, Bob. I'm a middle school teacher in Mexico, but not a native speaker, though. I have learned a lot from your videos and have used some of your ideas in class. Thanks from your great work. No problem. You are very, very welcome. Thank you for the kind words. And then, hi, Bob. When I listen to native speakers, I have no problem. But when I listen to non-native speakers, I may ask them to repeat to understand them. How to improve this? That's just part of being kind and patient when you are learning from other people who are also learning. So just find nice ways to ask them to repeat themselves. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand that. Or, hey, could you repeat that for a sec? I didn't quite understand it. Brent says, thanks, man. No problem. Let's see. Oh, gosh, what a question. Yes, I was very diplomatic as I answered it, I think. Does the river have a name? It does. It is called the Welland River or the Chippewa Creek. It has 2 names, actually. Know that. In your thumbnail for the Q&A, there was a yellow hose running past the house. What did you lay it for? We were working on fixing part of our septic system a few months ago. That's what that was for. Brent says, when I watch Bob's lessons and close my eyes, I hear Trump too. Okay, I was going to ignore that one, and we'll move on from there. Hey, there are no more questions, and it is 11 o'clock. I do want to thank you for hanging out with me. A few things you should know. Number one, if you click subscribe, you will get English lessons from me. If you click subscribe and click the bell, there's a new video usually every Tuesday, about 45 times a year. There's a live stream almost every Friday, about 45 times a year, where I cover a specific topic, such as yesterday we did describing people. This lesson will also come out in a shorter version tomorrow that you can watch or rewatch. I would appreciate that. And I do want to emphasize a couple of things. Number one, when you watch my English lessons 2 or 3 times over the week, it will help you remember things And I'll be honest, it also helps my YouTube channel do better. It's kind of a weird thing. I call it a win-win. When you watch a video, if you watch it with the subtitles on, you should for sure watch it again a few days later with the subtitles off. If you watch it at a slower speed with the subtitles on, you should probably watch it again at normal speed with the subtitles on, and then again a few days later at normal speed with the subtitles off. It's not exciting, but it is really good to help you remember what you are learning. And remember, again, you don't have to watch the video. You can just listen to it, okay? So you can go to Spotify and you can just listen to the video if you need to. Anyways, you are all awesome. Thank you especially to all my members. There's a join button that you can click if you are interested in membership and to help support the channel. But other than that, I'm going to head out and return a jacket and pick up a kid from a friend's house. And maybe I'll go to McDonald's. I don't know. It's nothing. I'm not really craving anything right now, but there's a McDonald's on the way. And if you've seen a lot about the town I live close to, there's no McDonald's there. So this is not an ad. I am not sponsored by McDonald's in any way. Okay. In the chat, Know That says, bye everyone. Have a great day. Bye, Know That. You too. Freddie Wolf says, even though Jen's channel isn't a real English lesson, it will help you for sure to improve your English skills. She does talk, and that can be helpful. Great Q&A says, half he is. Thanks, Bob. Thanks all. Be well. Bob, bye. Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a good day. See you Tuesday with a new lesson.